Today, joining me now is Sean Spicer. He's communications director for the RNC, also involved with advising the Trump campaign. Good to see you, Sean.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
Let's ask first. I'm going to get to the Clinton Foundation stuff, but I want to ask you first about African Americans and minority support for Donald Trump. Our reporter Ali Vitale, who's on the trail with Donald Trump, just asked him in Tampa right before he went on stage how he thinks he's doing with minority voters, and Trump said, quote, "I think we're doing really great." But the polls, as you know, all show something different. Is the campaign seeing something that we're not?
I think you look at a lot of the interactions that Mr. Trump has with these groups and his commitment to reaching out, and I think he's buoyed by that. Look, our party needs to do better. We haven't done great in the last several cycles, and Mr. Trump clearly understands that. He's continuing to outreach, ask for their vote, go to places and talk to groups, and talk about the solutions that a lot of these communities face. So, I mean, the good news as a party is that we need to do better, and the candidate himself is at the forefront of understanding that and doing what it has to ask for the vote and earn the vote of these different communities that we haven't done as well with.
According to 538, he's polling worse among African-American voters than any other top candidate since 1948. The only exception was Barry Goldwater, and he opposed the Civil Rights Act. So how do you turn that around, I guess, is my question. How do you make that appeal?
Well, look, I mean, last cycle we got 6% of the black vote. 2008 we got 4%. So unequivocally we have to do better. We need to go out and earn that vote. Talk about how we want to champion the issues that are important to some of those communities. And I think that's first and foremost. As Republicans, we haven't gone to places, we haven't had those conversations, and you've seen Donald Trump over the last several weeks really make an appeal and meet with groups that are important to show that we care about those issues. We want to get into their communities. We want to talk to their leaders, whether it's business leaders, faith-based leaders. But part of this is just showing up, Kate, and because right now in the past a lot of Republicans have not gone out and fought for that vote, ceding it to the Democrats, and I think the Democrats have really taken it for granted. And so if we look at where we are, 4% and then 6%, I mean, we need to do better, but I think Trump understands that. He wants to go out and earn it, and I think that we've got a real shot at going out and earning and respecting that vote and growing it from what we had the last couple cycles.
Let me turn to the Clinton Foundation.
So, I mean, to answer your question, I'm sorry, to answer your question, I think we need to continue to meet with folks. He's going to meet with another group tomorrow.
Right.
He's going to meet with a group the day after. I mean, so part of this is continuing to show that we respect and want the vote of those key communities.
Let me ask you about the Clinton Foundation. I know it's your favorite topic of the day, I'm sure. The Clinton campaign spokesman, Brian Fallon, was on with Andrea Mitchell a little bit earlier. Let me play what he had to say, and then I'll get your response.
What is at issue here is a reprehensible attack on a charity, the Clinton Foundation, that just shows the double standard that Hillary Clinton is being subjected to here. You did not see similar questions raised or attacks launched against George H.W. Bush, who launched the Points of Life Foundation after his presidency. You did not see attacks waged on Bob Dole, who ran for president in 1996 while his wife, Liddy Dole, was running the International Red Cross, and rightfully so, because these are charitable organizations that are doing important work, and the idea that they would be dragged into a political back and forth and used as weapons for attacks is completely absurd and beyond the pale.
Sean, he's insisting this is nothing more than a political attack. Your response?
I'm sure he is. They've been using the same line, one-trick pony, going back 30 years. It's always the right that is to blame. It's always Republicans investigating them. This time, however, you have the FBI that called for various field offices, called for an investigation, that the DOJ didn't hear those calls. I mean, here's the interesting thing, Kate. For 263 days, Hillary Clinton has yet to face the press. If instead of sending her spokesman out to defend her, why doesn't she face the press and talk about what the work that they've done, answer some of the questions? This is a $2 billion political machine that they've created. Yes, they do some good work.
Well,
but in large part, when you track what the AP, when you track what the AP has found, it's that there's always a quid pro quo. You see that the Crown Prince of Bahrain couldn't get a meeting with Secretary Clinton through official channels, but he was told, hey, go through the foundation. And after a $32 million donation, hey, would you like to meet with the secretary? I mean, you tell me what that looks like.
Well, the State Department, as you know, the State Department has said that it's not necessarily a quid pro quo. It's not a pay to play. It's just that this is what happens in Washington. You meet with people who you know. You meet with people who happen to be donors to your Clinton Foundation. And in fact, there was
they need to dust up on their Latin, because I think that is the definition of a quid pro quo. They told him to go through the foundation. He gave a donation. and they suddenly wanted to meet with him. I don't know. I really do think they need to go back and study Latin a little more, because that is the definition of what a quid pro quo is.
Well, I was about to quote Anthony Kennedy from the decision in Citizens United, because he actually wrote that ingratiation and access are not corruption, which seems to be what the Democrats are arguing here, that just because they had access doesn't mean anything untoward happened.
Right, and I think, look, it's a $2 billion political enterprise. So I recognize if there was one instance, I think you could make a good argument that says, hey, look, over the course of taking in $2 billion, 40% from foreign countries, that there was this one instance. But it's not just one instance. It's Doug Bann, Cheryl Mills, Huma Abedin, consistently creating this political corrupt enterprise to funnel money, to trade favors and access to the government for contributions. So this is not just one instance where the Crown Prince paid off $32 million for a meet and greet, but there's several instances, whether it's stuff that happened in Haiti, Uranium One, where there was access granted or decisions made right after a key decision or donation to the foundation was made. But there is a whole host of issues with this foundation in terms of women's and human rights violations. And I mean, again, they're taking 40% of their donations from foreign companies. They continue to hide and evade, but the fact of the matter is this foundation just proves what everybody believes about Hillary Clinton. She's the insider's insider. It's pay to play. All the way, it's the same stuff that we've seen for 30 years with the Clintons.
I know you're running out of time, Sean. I've covered 2 trips to Africa.
I got plenty of time.
With the Clinton, okay, good. With the Clinton Foundation, with President Clinton, I went to Africa twice as a reporter to cover those trips. And I have to tell you, we saw a lot of great things happening. We saw, medical clinics for children. We saw people growing root vegetables to sustain, to help their communities. This is good work that they do. I think you could probably acknowledge that. It's not glamorous, but it helps people. Why shut that down?
Well, again, just to be clear, I would absolutely agree with you. I think the Clinton Foundation has done some work. And again, you spend $2 billion. There's no question at some point you're going to do some good. But I think the problem isn't, this is the issue with the Clintons. It's always whatever they determine the greater good to be, that they can evade rules, have a set of rules for themselves and one for everyone else. The problem is that they've traded so many favors for access that they're arguing that they're the only ones who can do this good, and this is what comes along. You have to take all the baggage to go along with the good. There are other people and other foundations that have done a great amount of good without the level of damage and political corruptness and access for pay to play that they have. So, I mean, to assume that they're the only ones who can do this, and you have to take the baggage and you have to take the pay per play, is just not acceptable. I mean, I think there is a lot of good and there's more that can be done, but it can be done the right way.
Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Great to see you. Thanks for being with us.